Every war starts with someone predicting it will be short. Generals promise it, politicians promise it, ordinary people believe it, because believing otherwise is unbearable. But the real answer is far stranger than bad intelligence. In August 1914, soldiers marched off certain they'd be home by Christmas. Instead, World War I ground on for over 4 years. This wasn't unusual. It's closer to a rule. The political scientist John Mueller studied dozens of conflicts and found the same pattern again and again. Wars are almost always predicted to be short. They almost never are. And the gap isn't random. It's driven by what happens after the fighting starts. Here's the part that reframes everything. Once a war begins, both sides have already paid an enormous cost. Soldiers have died, money has been spent. The psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky called this the sunk cost effect. Once you've invested heavily in something, stopping feels like admitting the investment was wasted. So instead of cutting losses, people invest even more, chasing the outcome that would justify what.
That alone would stretch a war. But there's a second force, one about trust, not money. The political scientist Barbara Walter found that wars often continue not because either side believes it can still win, but because neither side can trust the other to actually keep the peace. A ceasefire requires laying down your guard, while hoping the other side does the same. But war destroys trust first, so both sides keep fighting, not because they want to, but because neither can risk stopping first. Researchers call this a commitment problem. Everyone might prefer peace, but peace requires a leap of faith that war itself has made impossible. Then there's a third pattern, quieter and arguably more dangerous.
None of this requires villainy. It requires ordinary minds under extraordinary pressure, doing exactly what those minds evolved to do. And here's the strange comfort in that. If wars last because of predictable patterns, those patterns can be recognized while they're happening, not just centuries later. Negotiators who understand sunk costs build smaller off-ramps. Diplomats who understand commitment problems bring in outside guarantees. Groups that understand groupthink assign someone to argue against the room. So the next time a conflict drags on far past what anyone predicted, remember what's happening underneath the headlines. It's not simply that no one can win. It's that stopping has become its own kind of impossible, held in place by minds doing exactly what minds have always done.
The psychologist Irving Janis studied how small groups of decision-makers think under pressure. He called it groupthink. Isolated leaders facing high-stakes choices tend to suppress dissent and filter out anything that challenges the direction they've already committed to. Doubt becomes disloyalty. The group narrows around confidence, right when nuance is needed most. Put these together and something becomes clear. Wars don't last because armies are locked in an even fight. They last because leaving feels unbearable, because trust has nowhere left to stand, and because the rooms making decisions are structurally bad at hearing the case for stopping.
For more interesting content like this, subscribe and hit the bell icon.